Previously on Murder at the Snatch.
We met a handful of the inhabitants of Whiff, a coastal town in Cornwall. One Rodney Fence, the landlord of the Snatch, the local drinking tavern.
New Year's Eve had rung into the Whiff, and 1930 was to be a big year for the people of Whiff. A wealth of fish had swept into the small coastal town.
Madame Genitalia was enduring a bland love affair with one Arnie Strokes, while still pining for her dead husband, Canon Genitalia.
But for Arnie, his last thrusts with Clarence Genitalia were to be his last.
Chapter 2 of The Snatch coming up now. And it's live.
All right, here we are.
Hello, my name's Liam Fleming.
Right. Ooh. Great start, fall off the chair. Chapter 2, here we go.
Reece said he may be extending to tomorrow afternoon as the deadline, but
doesn't matter, we're doing
let's set it now.
Reece, mate, here we go. Week 2, chapter 2. Been looking forward to this. Okay.
Murder at the Snatch.
Chapter 2, Arnie's last stroke. Does he have a stroke? Oh my god, I liked Arnie. Don't kill him.
The Wet Gobs were deep in their roof-raising New Year's Eve set of brand new tuba and oboe music.
They had already played their newest hit, As Light as a Feather, Heavier Than a Portcullis, and were about to excite the drunken, giddy crowd with a surprise encore of their oldest song, Who's Eaten All of Mother's Chutney.
Hey, that's an innuendo.
That's really good.
The lead singer of the Wet Gobs, Kenneth Dismissive, had got the women in a sexual frenzy.
This is better. This is better than chapter 1.
There were bloomers, petticoats and garter belts strewn across the floor of the stage, some bloomers smattered with unfortunate love crusts. So gross. Flaking at the foot of Kenneth's boots as he stomped his feet passionately.
Wait, I'm confused. What happened?
He's just singing a song. That's all that's happened so far.
But what was the crust on his...
The crust on, like, the ladies' bloomers, people who've been, like, throwing their knickers at him, basically.
Oh, flipping out. That's even worse than I imagined.
Who's eaten all of Mother's chutney? Screamed Ken.
Reverend Walter Slack. Mr. Slack took it out of the back and rubbed it in his crack. Oh!
Replied the baying crowd.
And so began the song, which lasted its frankly overindulgent length of 51 minutes.
The women of Whiff cared not a jot for the length of the song, and the men watched on unsure of the appeal of the lead singer. They were happy to continue drinking and tell tall tales of the year gone by.
As the Wet Gobs eventually came to a shuddering climax, some of the women reached multiple orgasms there and then.
Ugh! Gushing and spasming on the sticky Snatch floor.
Wow. This band is something else.
The husbands could do little more than applaud half-heartedly as their wives riled about the floor, screaming in delight like a newly opened packet of biscuits.
I've tried everything to get her to moan like that with me, Billy Jossop drunkenly stated to his drinking chum Windsor.
I've even tried to get the tortoise involved last week. He just took too long to get going. Tortoise joke, because they're slow. He continued.
Well, look at my Ava, Winston replied. She looks like she's being exercised. It'll be lucky if I even get a yawn when she reaches her crest these days. Her crest.
It took no time at all for the wet gobs to have packed up their tubas and oboes.
And with Kenneth dismissive leading the way, the band marched out of the Snatch, leaving behind them a wake of grounded women. Spurting fanny juice into the air like a synchronised fountain display.
So you find that disgusting, but I think that's hot.
Is it?
Yeah, it's lovely. Just spurting away. If I walked outside a pub and there's women just psh, 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 I'd be like, what a lovely evening.
How disgusting.
As the wet gob started up the road, they passed the excitable Arnie Strokes.
Heard about Arnie Strokes.
Having a little break, are you boys? Asked Arnie enthusiastically. No, Arnold, you little tosser. That's rude. We're done and we're fucking off home. How rude. I feel like Arnie's one of their biggest fans and they've just told him he's a tosser. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's Vance.
Happy New Year, you useless cabbage, laughed Kenneth dismissive, as he spat aggressively into Arnie's face and pushed him to the ground and beat the fucking shit out of him.
Suspect number one. The two other remaining members of the wet gobs squealed during the beating like two braying donkeys.
All Arnie could do was shout, "Who's eaten all of Mother's chutney? I'm such a big fan."
His cries of appreciation, however, fell on deaf ears.
After 30 seconds of shocking violence, Kenneth, bloodied, breathless and sweating, pulled himself up, straight and defiant, and strode off into the night. Oh God, I'm lost. Oh shit. No, I don't want to. Strode off into the night, stopping only to drop his pantaloons, expose his bottom, and guff over and into Arnie's blooded nose. I thought I was the only one who used the word guff. Guff.
Arnie, as he
Do you remember when I
shuffled
farted in
sideways.
Reese's face? Do you remember when I did that?
No.
He was on the floor, and then I pulled down my pants and exposed my buttocks.
Is that the what's that? What's that?
Yeah,
moment?
and then in my bum was in his face, and then Reese opened his eyes and went, "What's that? What's that?"
Yeah.
Like that.
I remember that vividly. I didn't realise he farted.
I tried desperately, but then I couldn't because when I heard the first time I heard him say, "What's that?" I went, and laughed, which made me clench, and then he went, "What's that?" the second time,
And you just
it
couldn't
disappeared,
release a fart.
and I was laughing at that point.
Thank you, muttered Arnie as he shuffled some ways down the road towards the Snatch.
A seagull passed and squawked overhead and let out a big old slurry of seagull squirt all over Arnie.
I hope that's seagull poo. I hope so. I hope it's not seagull ejaculate, because that's disgusting.
Arnie's having a really shit time.
Arnie! He just wants to make love.
Oh my God! He's like...
That's lucky, said Arnie.
He slowly pulled himself up and hobbled to the beach, luckily only a short distance from the beating. In the near distance he could see sights and sounds of the Snatch, carrying on the New Year festivities.
As he reached the water's edge, he looked at his reflection. His clothes were ripped, his face was bruised and bloodied, and his hair was dripping in seagull shit. I bet he looks amazing.
I can't go to the Snatch like this, he sobbed into the salty ocean. As his sobs become more convulsive, Arnie began to undress and threw his clothes into the sea. Screaming as he did so, he then threw himself into the sea.
Wash me! Wash me, Mother Earth! He screamed into 1930.
He saw the blood, snot and tears fall into and become the sea. His sobs began to subside slowly as he had the new dawning realisation that he had no new change of clothes or anything to dry himself with.
He started laughing madly and ran back onto the sand towards the Snatch.
So he's naked?
Yeah.
He's nakedly running towards the pub.
He's having a really bad time.
He started laughing madly. It sounds like a nutter. So
Yeah.
like running towards everyone naked.
Last orders, you drunken sods, proclaimed Rodney Fence over the now chaotic scene before him in the Snatch.
There were human feces on the walls, vomit dripping from the ceiling, and the floor was still sopping wet from the tsunami of pussy liquid. Oh, Jesus Christ, Reese, come on. So...
It looked like the inside of a vagabond's foreskin, and smelt like one too.
That's disgusting.
Some couples were fornicating amongst the slurry of human liquids. Men on men, good. Women on women, good.
Tortoise was heard reaching a climax. What does a tortoise reaching climax sound like, Reese? Please. We all want to know.
It was an orgy of nightmarish proportions.
Rodney Fence pulled his engorged stabber out of the mouth of Winston Windsor and hurriedly shot his white custard into Windsor's gaping mouth.
Custard? Oh, that's viscous. Custard. Into Mr. Into Mr. I thought he shot it at his wife. Oh, his white custard.
Thank you, Mr. Fence, gargled Winston, throwing up spunky vomit into his hands.
Oh my god, that's disgusting. Rodney, for the first time, looked properly at his pub. Oh, he must have been so proud. This is what I wanted.
Good grief. What a horrid, horrid mess, he said quietly.
He clambered over the bar, not daring to look at what was on his hands and clothes. Up, all of you, and out, he screamed.
And then spontaneously vomited on one of the locals darting for the door. Sorry, Lou, he apologised. No matter, love, Sue replied. I shat myself earlier anyway. Takes the smell away from my messy gusset.
Lou was the first to leave, and more soon followed, staggering, vomiting and defecating out and away from the Snatch. There were still some bodies seemingly too intoxicated to move, which Rodney decided to leave where they were until the morning.
Smart.
As he went to switch off the lights for the night, he heard a muted call for help under the piano.
Oh god, he's under the piano.
So muted is this.
Oh. Kind of maybe a wrong choice of word there, Reese.
Muffled.
He slid his way over to the Steinway and found a nude body covered head to toe in blood.
At first, Rodney thought perhaps it was a large rectal prolapse, but on further viewing, the blood was coming from the head.
Rodney turned the body over and saw the almost lifeless face of Arnie Strokes.
Genitalia, Clara. With his last breath, he dribbled a small bit of sick down his chin, and his head fell back into Rodney's hand.
Rodney then shat himself. Literally, he shat himself.
And that is chapter 2 of Murder at the Snatch by Rhys Owen.
The fuck did I just read, Reese?
Highly disturbed, but thank you. And how exciting.
It's good. It's funny.
That was part 2, wasn't it?
Yeah. All right, all done.
Yeah, like a synchronised fountain display. No, Reese. Oh.
Oh, is that Britishy? No, Arnold, you little tosser. We're done and we are fucking off home.
Oh god. Okay.
And decapitating, defecating.
You know, like when you get a big gob. Yeah,
that.
I can't do it. I think only boys can do that.
Like that.
Disgusting boys.
No matter, love, Lou replied. I shat myself earlier anyway. Takes the smell away from my messy gusset.
In delight with a newly opened packet of biscuits. I've tried everything.
So I'm not just sure whether the sick and shit is all a sex thing.
Expose his bottom and guff over and into Arnie's bloody nose.
Gushing and spasming on the sticky Snatch floor. Oh, I've got my auntie on Facebook.
Fucking brilliant. I mean, I'm sure my neighbours loved that.
Wet from the tsunami of pussy liquid.
I was enduring a bland love affair with Arnie Strokes, the... oh, fuck, this is shit. Right, we'll do this on again. Okay, this isn't very good.
You are a sick puppy. Okay, well, I love you anyway, you big weirdo.